Up until about 300 years after Jesus' death, reincarnation flourished as part of the fractured Christianity throughout the Middle East. I was amazed by how many Christians do not know how the Christian religion was founded. And the Christian religion was founded initially, and Jesus was an Essene rabbi, so were the disciples, and basically they taught reincarnation and pre-existence. That was part of the original teachings of Christianity. We are nothing but energy, and energy never dies. And as far as past lives go, even though we die, the essence and those memories are always there because they're pure energy.
Past life regression. Let's talk about this past life regression and how it works, please.
Okay. Basically, if someone comes to see me, they may have an issue, may not have an issue. What you find is that most issues we have in our lives that, for example, phobias, fears, didn't occur in this lifetime at all. You know, someone could be afraid of fire. They don't know why they're afraid of fire. But they still come and see me, a kind of a different approach. And what I do is I get them to relax, no hypnotism involved. And once a person relaxes, the mind's amazing what it does.
Get involved, get loud, and think on the brink.
Well, deja vu. We've all experienced it, that strange familiarity which causes us to wonder if we've been in a place before or possibly dreamt about it. Or we meet someone and we can't shake that feeling that we've met before or that we know this person from somewhere, but we don't know quite where. Well, let's Malcolm out loud. Welcome to the show. Our guest today is Douglas Casimiri. Doug is the author of the newly published book, Christians, Remember Your Past Lives, Learn How. He is certified in the science of complementary healing and past life regression facilitation and joins us today to share his 20 years of experience with reincarnation and healing. Should be a fascinating conversation. How you doing, Doug?
Good, thank you.
All right, let's talk about it. New book, and Christians, Remember Your Past Lives, Learn How. So let me start with this. I'm fascinated with the whole thing because there are times where you sort of have this eerie feeling like you've been somewhere before or something. That happens a lot to me, actually. So what does it mean?
Well, maybe you have. You know, a lot of times people don't realize that even if you don't believe in reincarnation, everyone has past life memories. Everyone. And basically, a lot of times you could be actually reliving a time and place before. And that we don't know for sure until we actually regress you and find out for sure if that was the case.
So this happens to everybody?
I find that it happens to people that are very aware of who they are.
Of who they are in this world. That's interesting. Right. That is interesting. Okay, all right. So bring me forward in yourself and write in the book and how you discovered this. I mean, this is not a normal hobby for somebody, you know, really, huh? You know, how did you've been at this for 20 years? Tell me how it came into your life, your own experience, and all the way to today in this book. And
well, it started years ago when I was studying the martial arts with a Japanese guy who came from Japan, and he was extremely spiritual, and he believed in energy, and I was a young kid at the time, and at that time I didn't give it much credence. But as I grew older and started working more and more in that field, I realized that we are nothing but energy, and energy never dies. And as far as past lives go, even though we die, the essence and those memories are always there because they're pure energy. And I just was fascinated with the subject, and I've been in it ever since then. And the reason I moved a little bit too, with, as the name of my book, Christians, Remember Your Past Lives, is because I was amazed by how many Christians do not know how the Christian religion was founded. And the Christian religion was founded initially, and Jesus was an Essene rabbi, so were the disciples, and basically they taught reincarnation and pre-existence. That was part of the original teachings of Christianity. And I found this out because I was with friends of mine, and one was a professor at a university, religious university, and I was discussing the idea of writing a how-to book about reincarnation, and he looked at me like dumbfounded. And that made me realize that really people don't understand the subject, especially Christians.
Right. So you've targeted Christians.
Yes.
Interestingly. I mean, and so it's when you think of Christianity, you don't really think of reincarnation.
Well, that's because it's been removed. If you look at historical facts, up until about 300 years after Jesus' death, reincarnation flourished as part of the fractured Christianity throughout the Middle East. And then Constantine, the emperor of Rome, decided to formalize the Christian religion. And what they did was they gathered people together, And they decided to keep what we're going to put into the Bible, what are we going to take out. And this is actually historical, well-documented information here. And they decided to remove reincarnation from the Bible and Jesus' original teachings at that time. And then what they did, again, it's a historical fact, you can look it up, they went around and they rewrote the Bibles, and they went around and anyone that didn't conform, they were naturally executed. And it went on forever.
They were executed?
Yes, they killed thousands of people.
Really?
And then again in the 5th century, in the Council of Nicaea, they did the same thing because reincarnation still flourished. The Gnostic Christians were really the true followers of Jesus at that time. They stuck with Jesus and they believe in reincarnation. And so they decided to have another vote with East and West Rome. At that time it was split. While the people who were on the way, the popes on the way to vote for reincarnation, were murdered on the way. So only the people for pro-removing reincarnation from the Bible showed up. And again, it was removed from the Bible. People will ask, why to remove it? Well, it's very simple. For power and control. See, they did not want the people to believe there was anything other than one lifetime where they can control the person. Better do as I say, if not, you're going to hell, basically. So that's how they controlled the population.
Sounds like they're still doing that today in politics, buddy.
They still are.
Yeah. Past life regression. Let's talk about this past life regression and how it works, please.
Okay. Basically, if someone comes to see me, they may have an issue, may not have an issue. What you find is that most issues we have in our lives that, for example, phobias, fears, didn't occur in this lifetime at all. Someone could be afraid of fire. They don't know why they're afraid of fire. But they still come and see me, a kind of a different approach. And what I do is I get them to relax, no hypnotism involved. And once a person relaxes, the mind's amazing what it does. It'll actually go to the exact, I'll ask the question, take me to the exact spot where this fear began. Takes you right there, and we talk about it.
So you counsel people?
Yes.
I see.
In a very non-suggestive way. That's why I don't follow, you got to be very careful, don't to lead anybody in any different direction when they're under, or put anything into their mind.
Is this a hypnosis?
No, that's why I don't hypnotize. It's just a relaxation technique.
Just to relax and so people are being honest with you. It's in a.
That's right, and they can open their eyes anytime and forget about the memories if they're in fear or afraid, or I've had places where women were being raped and they had to open their eyes, for example, at that time, and because we don't, you're always sort of, even though you're totally relaxed, the memories are there, you're fully aware that you can open your eyes anytime, and I'm right there with you, reinforcing the conversation, reinforcing the safety factor of it.
Okay.
But it's amazing the things that I've had a few things in my book about. Truly amazing what people do that carry forward throughout lifetimes.
Oh yeah. Well, listen. One of the things I've said over the years is that I always find, Doug, that people have a tendency to live in the past. People I see around, they live somehow trying to recorrect their past or fix their past. Seriously, and so they don't really live for today or tomorrow. And actually, the abundance of people I see, they're really caught up in this past business. I don't know what it is. They're either trying to fix something they've done wrong, or they are hesitant about something that's happened before. I find it a real sickness with people. It's actually one of what I call a human ailment, is living in this past business.
I agree.
What is there to that and to what you're saying? Help me with that.
I don't think the two are really connected in that sense.
Okay.
That's my own personal opinion. I know, same thing, a lot of people live in the past. And I think the key is you cannot change the past. All you can do is live in them. You can't change it, so just forget about it.
Give me 5 on that, brother. That's right. You can't. That's it. But people don't get that.
All you can do is, the way I look at life is like this.
Yeah.
Every day when I get up, I have a philosophy, I do no harm. And if people go through life and do no harm, and do the best they can, they don't have to worry about the past or the future. We'll take care of themselves.
Right.
But people do get caught up in the past. I have a lot of people around me that are like that, and no matter how much you have this conversation with them, they don't live in the moment at all. Their life passes them by that quick.
Tell me what you know about what you've discovered about your own past life or lives.
Well, I have 3 that were very clear. I have multiple lives, as most of us have. And the 3, the first one was I was in Rome. I was, I wasn't anybody special. It's just an ordinary working guy. I worked with leather.
I could see that just you say it, just see it. And you look like you would be back in Rome somewhere.
That's right.
I see you in a shop there, and
exactly what it was.
Yeah.
And I was working with leather. I remember walking home, and I lived in a cave.
Yeah.
a dugout cave, and there is my wife, I guess, over the fire and brewing something in a pot. And I remember looking at my face in the water and actually seeing my reflection, and that is something to behold.
Really?
Yes.
Really. All right, so that was your first life.
And then next I was a Native American.
Oh.
And that was the most, it's where I got the most smells of the ground. I remember walking around, sneaking up on cabins. We're only young. I remember I was only about 14 or 15, and we were crazy. And we'd sneak up on settlers in their cabins. We'd try to look in the windows. And I remember the feeling of being there, smelling the grass, and seeing the smoke coming out of the cabin. And then the last time I was black, and I was a sharecropper, just around the Civil War. And that was a brutal, brutal job.
Huh.
And at nighttime, we'd all huddle in this little hut over a small little piece of candle. It's very, very profound.
All right, so now if this is your fourth life, let's say, what brings you back in this fourth life?
Well,
how do you...
Actually, there's actually a blueprint. When you pass on, I've taken many people through their own death experience. I think that's something everybody should experience. When you come out the other end, you realize there's no fear. You're there. And what happens, another thing that's really curious even to me with all the people I've done is some people will come back in 30 years, some people will be 500 years, and there's no rhyme or reason when the people return. But they choose when they return. And there's actually a blueprint for your life, and it's been well documented. A lot of people I've taken back, they actually picked situations they wanted to be in this lifetime. And
wow, it's heavy.
It's heavy.
Heavy, man.
Yep.
Tell me about some of the common signs and symptoms, if you will, that people experience due to their own past life conflict. Are there some signs or symptoms that most people relate to?
Well, yeah, the biggest signs and symptoms are they do things they don't know why. They do things that are out of character.
Right.
That could be good or bad.
Right.
And I think, where did that come from? Why do I act like that? And a lot of times you find it's not from this lifetime at all.
Right. From another lifetime.
That's correct.
Somehow.
That carries forward.
Well, our mind is a very powerful...
well, the big part of the mind, too, when people realize that energy is... the
energy.
Reincarnation has a lot to do with karma, also. Because it's, karma is a whole subject in itself, and it can happen in 1 second, 1 hour, or 1 year. Whatever you do, there will be a response to what you do, positive or negative. And even in previous lives, there was a lot of negativity you had in that life. Well, that comes back again to repeat itself. Okay. And that's why in Jesus and other spiritual leaders, they taught how to reach perfection.
Okay. All right. We talk about this past life regression. When you do this, how long is a segment? I want to understand.
Well, the first segment is the longest. It takes about 2 hours.
Okay.
And that's only because we've got to go through the process of relaxation. Once we do that initial part, which takes about 40 minutes, the next time I regress you, we're done quick.
Okay.
A few minutes, I can have you down, relaxed. So it's only the first one that takes time. Then after that, an hour.
Okay, all right. So, all right, now today's first time I've met you. Of course, I did have you on our national radio program recently, and so this is the first time I've met you, though. And don't tell me now, but if I asked you to, when we call past life regression, look at my own, would you be able to?
Absolutely.
So you would? Yeah. All right. All right, well, that should be fascinating. I have some thoughts to this, too, as well, by the way.
That's right.
All right, so I'll tell you what. We'll do this. Doug will help me through my own past life and see how that might help you. We'll be right back after the short break with Doug Casimiri.
Get your home organized now with Closets by Design and get 40% off plus free installation. Custom closets, garage cabinets, home offices, wall beds, pantries, laundries, hobby rooms, and more. To schedule a free in-home design consultation, call 1-800-BY-DESIGN or visit closetsbydesign.com for more details.
Well, welcome back here. We're with Douglas Casimiri. The book is Christians Remember Your Past Lives, Learn How. That's the book. And let me give you also Doug's website while I'm thinking of it, pastliferegression.webstarts.com. And we'll put it up on the screen for you now, pastliferegression.webstarts.com. Need to make it a more memorable, easy address to remember, buddy.
That's true.
So we're talking fascinating conversation and really looking at our past, and it's interesting to me for a lot of reasons. We're talking about reincarnation, and but also tying into the Christian factor on this, which we've talked about. Very interesting conversation with Doug. But as I went to break, I'd suggested to you that maybe we look at my own past life, and I had some thoughts myself to this, and I've never done this before. I've never been down this road. But there's a lot of factors as to my own thinking in this, Doug. So let me turn it to you a moment, and as we just met today, and tell me any thoughts that you've picked up in meeting me, because you have a real sense of people. I take you seem to feel them or understand them, whatever that is.
Well, it's obvious, Malcolm, first time meeting you, that you've had many past lives, and they've been all different factors. Okay, now you're using your voice, which is the key factor. You've probably worked through that system throughout your life, throughout those past lives. If we take you back, we might find you being a politician in a past life, or somebody that was out in the public, and usually trying to do good initially, because that's obviously the way that you're trying to go in that type of direction for other people. So I see that being part of you. I see multiple lives, and the reason you could tell with multiple lives is people have multiple lives. They have a sense about them. You feel peaceful around them, number one. They really don't, they're non-judgmental, because we said earlier, most people had multiple lives. They've been every sex and every race. And how could you be racism, or how could you judge someone else, or, and they're more accepting. So basically when you walk up to somebody and I meet somebody and I shake their hand and we have a few minutes together, I already know who they are from that sense.
What a feeling, huh?
Yeah.
To be able to do that, yeah. I've always prided myself on having that sort of feeling with people as well, the psychological aspect of meeting somebody and sort of knowing who or what they are. It's a value as a person that interviews, talks to people, or what have you, to feel.
It's obviously that you do have it.
Yeah.
Because you can pick up right away.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know who people are when you walk in. You know what mindset they're at. Right. And you know how to deal with it.
And the key to life, you've already picked up on it, Doug, is to make people around you comfortable. I always say, treat people the way you wish to be treated.
That's correct.
And that is just a golden rule I've always lived my own life by. For me, Doug, it is fascinating in the way that, I have to share with you and share with all of you today is that for me, I can bring it all the way back to being a young boy again, probably 9, 10 years old, okay? And realizing that I wanted to do some incredible things in this world. Now, I was one of seven siblings, and my dad was a contractor, a good middle-class, lower middle-class family, hardworking, and struggling, didn't have a lot of the things, but, pretty normal for America, for American family, And I remember always feeling uncomfortable in these surroundings. It just didn't fit for me. I don't know why. I don't know if and it was the strangest thing. I cannot explain it to you, but I always had a feeling I should not have been born into the family. And no disrespect, but I always thought there's some other place for me. Does that make sense?
I picked up on that immediately.
Yeah.
Okay, and that happens a lot, where you feel out of place.
Yeah, I'm definitely out of place.
Yeah, you're definitely out of place.
Yeah.
And, I always look at myself and say, I was never a teenager.
Right.
I was born old. Right. And, even when I was younger, same thing. I wasn't, didn't carry on, didn't go get drunk at 14 years old. I just had a different agenda.
We grew up early.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
and
correct.
That's what I did. I grew up very early.
And that sense definitely came from a previous life that you were most, you don't remember it, but it's close to you.
Well, the thing for me is people know you talk about energy. Yeah. My energy field is off the charts, obviously. It's crazy energy, But I'm a very driven person, you understand, and with purpose. It's very important to me. Doing good in the world and understanding the difference between good and evil and trying to reach to those points, that is really my passion and my mission in this life, Doug, is to make an ultimate difference. And I'm driven to that end, not always knowing why or how, to the point it will some days drive me crazy. I don't say this to boast about it, that it's some sort of a religious platform of mine or something else better than thou. It's actually many times a curse. There are many times I've looked out the window and I've said, I swear to you, and I've said, God, I wish I could be Mr. Numbnuts on the street here, whoever that is, whoever that was, whatever, no disrespect, but, it wasn't me, you understand? But totally. I thought for a moment, wouldn't that be kind of cool to not give a damn? Why do I have to give a damn?
I understand totally what you're saying. And it's, it's about commitment and about direction. and not letting people down, including yourself.
Yeah.
And that comes through many lifetimes of letting people down. And you learn from your lessons. And now you're getting to the point where you don't want that to happen again.
Somehow we have this purpose in this life to make the world a better place. I think there's a point to this, and we all have a part of this somehow. My part of it is to reach with people and connect the good in humanity and help. You know, for me, what gets me on this platform and what rattles me is to go after the injustices in the world. That is really what is a driving force for me, which is why things that, you know, that mark children and minorities and things of that nature are things that definitely will get the best of me, you see, and I you know, won't stand for it, you know, or I will go the extra mile and say, well, we can't have that. I've taken on many times pedophilia on this platform. I've taken on, you know, evil people, things that they've done, things of that sort, because I think that, as well as big corporations and big government and, you know, the injustices, if you will. So that is sort of it. So back to the whole reincarnation thing. So I look at that, and the whole conversation is amazing to me, because I do look at my past and I wonder where it all comes from. None of it makes any sense in my life. You know,
Oh, it makes sense to me.
Yeah?
Yes, it does.
Well, you're a first then.
No, it does make sense to me, because it's obvious that in previous lives you've been through a lot of injustices. And you might have caused a lot of injustices. And that's why we're doing the correction part. That's why you stay so focused now, to make sure that doesn't happen again. And I find that with a lot of people that have been multiple times back.
Interesting.
They have a focus.
I've even thought about running for political office, what have you, but you know, they would assassinate me, of course, because, you know, what you just said is, yeah, it's about that, but at the same time, you know, too many people today are for sale. You know, there's a price to that, you know. I'm not married to that price, you know, I'm not available for that. So I think that's a different thing. That makes sense, you know?
Yes, I mean, most politics is about price.
It's all about price.
It's all about donation.
It's all about power.
That's right.
It's about the power they seek, many times for the wrong reasons, obviously, right?
That's correct.
So this is a different, you know, conversation that we're having, clearly. All right, so let's talk about why. I want to bring it forth again to understand if. I mean, someone may or may not believe in reincarnation, number one, okay? Whatever that means. To many people, it means different things. We do have an unbelievable minds that seem to take us into journeys and ideas and thoughts that beyond anything we could ever imagine. You can close your eyes in a room and almost put yourself anywhere.
That's correct.
It's amazing. Our minds are crazy. And mine is out there for sure. That's the out loud part of it, you know?
That's right.
And but when you're talking about Christians here and remembering your past lives. Now, how has this been accepted in the Christian community, first of all? Tell me that, please.
Well, to be honest with you, it hasn't.
Of course.
And, you know, actually, I've been turned down from a lot of different interviews and shows because of that. You know, and the thing, I'm not really downgrading Christianity at all. All I'm stating the fact that if you look up what was taught during Jesus' time, he believed it as a historical fact. But people, what happens is even the Bibles themselves, if you know how many were thrown out, and what other people don't understand either, which they really hate to hear that, but most disciples, when you read the Gospels of Luke and Matthew, they never wrote them. Most of them were illiterate. So they were written between 40 and 300 years after the deaths. So, you know, when you compile everything together, you know, it's not degrading Christianity at all. I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus, absolutely. But there's how it was founded is a little bit different than it's portrayed by the mainstream churches.
Okay. We talked a little bit on radio, you and I did, about this connection, which is pretty out there, but with Jesus and Buddha, and you made some, you know, some similarity points here on the two, and tell me more about that. I mean, and is that where people kind of pause and kind of roll their eyes when you talk to them about something like that, that Jesus and Buddha may be the same?
Well, that's, you know, I take it to that level. It's kind of like just to put it out there.
That it could be.
Yes, it could be. I'm not saying it is.
I think we have to qualify the could then.
Yes, that's
because
true.
I didn't get that initially. And I thought, well, this guy can't be.
No. It's just that if you read the teachings of Buddha
Yeah.
and the way Buddha was born
Yeah.
in the manger, to a virgin, everything, walking on water, feeding the masses, from everything that Jesus has done was done prior by Buddha. Even the same speeches and sermons they gave on the mounds are almost identical word for word. And to me, I look at it as a continuum of this intelligent force who's all of us, and there's certain people that are chosen to move this thing forward. And obviously, and I say it a little tongue-in-cheek, but basically if you looked at Buddha's teaching and Jesus' teaching, you would think they're the same person. It's really ironic.
Yeah. So what do you make of that?
Well, there's a couple theories behind that. I mean, it could actually be that if you look at the founding of Christianity itself with Jesus, a lot of them, these teachings were taken from Buddha. And actually, if you look at other chapters in the Gospels, they don't say Buddha, but they've taken it from Eastern religions. And what they did was, this is part of the formulation of the Christian religion. They took pieces from every different religion. And a lot of the things we believe with the angels and all these other things didn't come from Christianity. It was from the, starts with a Z, forget it off the top of my head, religion that conquered Israel at that time. And they picked up all these things that religion carried, they brought them into Christianity. Okay. So it's part of the forming of it. It's not anything wrong with that. That's how all things are formed. They take pieces from different places, and that's how everything's formed.
Okay. So, Doug, one of the things I'm thinking that I can take from all of this is the fact that, you know, to be in touch with yourself, to know who you are as a person. And I've always used this, as a mantra in my platform, really through my life, is that if you know yourself, first and foremost, and you're comfortable with that, I think you can relate to almost anything out there.
That's correct.
You agree with that?
That's correct. And past life regression helps you with that because it's going to bring you back to issues that you can look at what you did in a past life. It makes you better in this life because you see why you're doing certain things in this life that you shouldn't be.
Well, it is about being better,
That's
us,
right.
Better me, who I am, and again, accentuate the positives, right? And work on some of the negatives because we all have both.
That's correct.
I'd like to think I'm all positive, but it's not really that way, you know.
That's correct.
I mean, I think so. If that's the goal, then I like the idea of past life regression and understanding who that is. Now, I don't know how my Christian friends will look at this. I really don't know. And I didn't have a chance to really check in. I was going to check in with some of them and say, what do you think of this? You brought my ears up, too, a little bit earlier. We'll talk about this again at another time, about those pieces coming out of the Bible. That is fascinating to me, that early part of the conversation we had in part one. Mm-hmm. Come back to that at another time. That strikes me as something we need to cover. Is that just a hypothetical statement, or do you, you've researched
historical facts.
And do you know what was actually pulled out of the Bible?
Well, what happened was Constantine connected all the writings, and they sat together and decided what to keep. No, I don't know what.
So we don't know what that is today.
No, but they kept what they wanted.
Right.
In the Bible.
But we don't know what they took out. It'd be fascinating if that could.
Well, there is research in that, and with the Gnostic scrolls that were found in 1945 and 1947, the Dead Sea Scrolls, a lot of that stuff was brought back, and about reincarnation was found in skulls. They never, in the scrolls, they never had a chance to take it out of there. Still original, so that's where all that stuff came back from.
Incredible. Again, the book, folks, is Christians Remember Your Past Lives, Learn How. Douglas Casimiri. Again, as always, there's something to learn from everything, and certainly there is right here. Past life regression. Who would have thought? I learn something every day, man. So, again, this is Malcolm Out Loud. Remember, get involved, get loud.